Hi, this is Trek and welcome to my channel. This is the second video in the Magic the Gathering series. I'm going to go through an example of play just to get you comfortable with it. I am going to I'm going to say that my opponent in this particular game is not going to take any actions whatsoever. This is just to get you comfortable with the idea of playing your turn. So let's go ahead and get started with it. This is the beginning of the game, so the first thing we should do is draw 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we roll to see who goes first. I rolled a 14. Let's say my opponent rolled a 2, so I get to go first. Alright. And then we set our life total to 20, which I will go ahead and do with this. I'll track it with this dice here. We'll put that right there. This symbol right here is just fancy. It's just a fancy die. This is a 20. And see, I've got a 19 right next to it. This is a 20. Oops, sorry, 13. That's 20. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Let's look at my hand, and we'll take the very first turn of the game. Note that I did not draw a card on my turn, because this is the very first turn of the game. And here is my hand. I'm going to move the dice off screen just so I have room to show you the hand. Alright, let's get started. Oh, a little more space. First thing we're going to do is we're going to play the land, because that's pretty much all we can play without having any access to mana. So we'll put that out. And then there's nothing else we could play. We can actually play this, but we don't have a target for it. So we're going to move on. We're going to go to our combat phase. We don't have any creatures, so we aren't going to attack. And we're going to second main phase, when we have nothing else to play. And then ending phase, where we have 6 cards, we don't discard any. And then we're done. Our opponent goes, they do nothing, because they're imaginary. And then it's back to our turn again. Beginning of our turn, we draw a card. Sorry, let me do that again. Beginning of our turn, we untap everything, which we have nothing to untap. Then we do upkeep, which we have nothing that cares about upkeep, and then we draw a card. Skipping steps on accident. Alright, so now we are in our main phase, and there is one card here that we can play. It's the one that we just drew. It's a very important one. We're going to go ahead and play it. I'll bring it up so you can see it. Yeah, it's not going to work. But it is Magus of the Vineyard. It costs 1 green mana. We have a green colored symbol here. So to play it, we need 1 green mana. I'm going to tap this land. This provides me with a single green mana, and I'll use that to cast this. So now it comes out. And that's it. So let's go to combat phase. Note that I cannot attack with this because it has not been out for a full turn yet. So I have no attackers. So I go to my second main phase. Nothing happens. And then end step, nothing happens. My opponent takes their turn. They do nothing because they are imaginary. And then it's my turn again. First thing I do is I untap all of my permanents, which is everything out here. Oops. So I take this forest, and I turn it right side up. And then I do upkeep, which, again, I have nothing that cares about the upkeep yet. And then draw. Okay, so now we go to our first main phase. Let's go ahead and give this guy's ability a try. If you can read him, he says at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add a green mana and a green mana to my mana pool. It is my pre-combat main phase now. It's the one before combat. So I get an extra green mana and another green mana. So I have 2 mana, that's what's called floating, in my mana pool. So with that, I'm going to say I want to cast this spider right here, this Juvenile Gloom Widow. It costs a green mana and a green mana. We can spend the green mana that we currently have in our mana pool and say I'm going to play that. Alright, perfect. Now let's go to combat. And this turn we do have an attacker. We can now declare this Magus of the Vineyard as an attacker because he has been out for at least a whole turn. So what I want to do is I want to say I'm going to attack with him and I'm going to attack that opponent. So I turn him sideways, I tap him, and then he's an attacking creature. My opponent, if they weren't imaginary, might decide to put a blocker in front of them, but since they're imaginary, he just goes through and he deals damage equal to his power to my opponent, 1. So my opponent is now at 19 life. And that's my combat step. Now we go to my second main phase. I have nothing to do here, so I'll say it's my opponent's turn. Sorry. I have nothing to do in my second main phase, so we'll go to my ending phase, during which I have nothing to discard because I'm not over 7, and then it's my opponent's turn. I'm going to do something during my opponent's turn just to demonstrate a point. When my opponent is in their combat step, I'm going to say I'm going to play this card right here, which is called Hunger of the Halpak. It is an instant, which is what allows me to play it during my opponent's turn. It costs 1 green mana, so I will create 1 green mana, and I will play Hunger of the Halpak. And it puts a counter on one of my creatures, which I am not going to cover what that does for now. I just wanted to demonstrate the fact that I could play this on my opponent's turn, so don't worry about it. Oops. Alright, so my opponent goes through their steps. They don't do anything because they are imaginary. And we go back to my turn. First thing we do on my turn is we untap. We have this one and this one that are currently tapped. We untap them. And then we do upkeep, which we have no upkeep effects. And then we draw a card for our turn. Alright, pre-combat main phase. This guy gives us 2 green mana. And I will spend that to play this card here. So it's called Kavu Predator. It costs a green mana and we have a numbered symbol here, which is just a 1, which means it costs a mana that has to be green, and then 1 mana that can be anything. I can spend the green mana from this and the green mana from this to pay its cost. So I will. Let's move this stuff over. Alright, then let's go to combat. I can now attack with both of these because they've both been out for a whole turn. So I want to declare attacks with both of these. We turn them sideways. We say they're attacking that opponent. And they go through because our opponent can't declare blockers. Our opponent takes 2 damage because this has 1 power and this has 1 power. And that's it for our combat phase. Main phase 2, I don't have anything to do. And then ending step, I don't have over 7. So we'll let our opponent go. Our opponent goes, they do nothing, and it's our turn. First thing we do is we untap everything. We do upkeep, which we have no upkeep effects, and then we draw a card for our turn. So we're in a bit of a pickle, I guess you'd say, because we have a lot of cards that require black mana, black mana, black mana, black mana. But we don't have access to black mana right now. We can only produce green mana, and more green mana from here. We do have 1 green card here, 1 card that takes green mana, but it requires a green mana, and 3 more mana in addition to that. We only have access to a total of 3, 2 from this guy and 1 from him, so we can't play this yet. So let's just go to combat, and I can declare all 3 as attackers this time. They go unblocked, so we have 2 damage from this guy, 1 and 1. So that's 4 damage in total. Our opponent was at 17, so now he goes down to 13 life. And then we go to second main, we aren't going to do anything, and then ending step, and we aren't going to do anything. Our opponent takes their turn, they do nothing. Our turn, we untap everything that's tapped. Upkeep, no effects. Draw. And pre-combat main phase. We get 2 green mana from this guy. Alright, so I am going to play this card here, this land. It's a swamp. It taps to provide me with black mana. I'm going to put it here next to my forest. Now we have a lot more options. I'm going to play this one here. This is called Phyrexian Rager. It costs a black, and there's this numbered symbol here that says 2, which means it requires 2 mana of any color. A black mana and 2 mana of any color. So we can go, here's our black mana, and then we can spend the 2 that we got from this guy to play Phyrexian Rager. Phyrexian Rager is a 2/2 creature, and when he enters the battlefield, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. So I will draw a card, and I will lose 1 life, putting me to 19. And then we can go to combat. We can again attack with these 3. Can't attack with him because he just barely came out. And we hit our opponent for 4 because he's imaginary and can't block. Then we go to second main phase. We don't do anything. and discard step. Or again, we don't do anything. And our opponent goes, he does nothing. We untap. Oh, our opponent is a 9, because he was at 13, we just hit him for 4. We untap that, all that. We do upkeep, which we have nothing, and draw. Note that last turn we drew a forest, but we couldn't play it because we can only play 1 land a turn. So during our pre-combat main phase, we get 2 green from this guy, and we will play this forest. I'm going to put it right here next to this one. And so we have 2 green from this guy. We can produce 2 here, and we can produce a black here. I'm going to choose to play this one here, this really expensive one that we looked at earlier. It's called Incremental Growth. Actually, let's play this one. This is called Yavis Force Mage. It costs a green and 2 colorless. So we will spend the 2 from here to pay for the green symbol as well as one of the numbered symbols. And we'll spend another green to pay the 3rd mana that's required, and then we'll put it out. So this guy says when he enters the battlefield, we can give target creature +2/+2 until end of turn. Oh, you can't see. I'm going to put my lands down here. We'll try to keep these separate so it doesn't confuse you. Usually you have this in your, up in front of you. So when he enters the battlefield, we can give a creature +2/+2 until end of turn. So we'll pick this guy. So he was a 2/2. Now he's a 4/4 for this one turn. So now we'll go to combat, and we will say this guy's attacking, this guy's attacking, and this guy's attacking, and this guy's attacking. So this guy's a 4/4, so that's 4 damage, 2/2, so that's 2 damage, 6 damage, 7 damage, 8 damage. Our opponent goes to 1 life. Now during our second main phase, we still have a bit of mana here. We can play this guy. This guy is called Pit Keeper. He costs a black and a colorless, or a mana of any color. So we'll spend a green and a black. The black to pay his black mana symbol, and the green to pay the colorless. And we will put him out. He says when he enters the battlefield, if I have 4 more creatures in my discard pile, which is over here, then he gets to bring 1 back from the graveyard. That's not relevant in this case. Alright, that was our second main, so now let's go to discard. We don't have over 7 in our hand, so we'll let our opponents go. They do nothing. Our turn. We untap our lands, and we untap our creatures. We do any upkeep effects. We don't have any. And then we draw a card. Alright. Pre-combat main phase, we get 2 green mana. And then let's just go to combat. Let's attack our opponent for 1 damage. Remember, our opponent is at 1. They can't block, they take 1 damage, they get reduced to 0, they lose the game. They are eliminated. Alright guys, thanks. We're going to actually do a more advanced example in our next video where we play against another opponent. And there's going to be it's going to be emphasizing combat, but I wanted to give you guys this example of what the sort of workflow of gameplay looks like from your perspective. Alright, thanks. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.